Loyalty is one of the last remaining sacred words in a world that's forgotten what sacred even means. We speak of loyalty as if it's always a virtue, as if remaining devoted, committed, and unwavering is somehow synonymous with being good. But what if that's not always the case? What if loyalty, in its raw and unquestioned form, is a dangerous virtue? What if sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is to betray? This isn't a celebration of treachery. It's not about selling out your people or backstabbing your friends for gain. No, this is something far more uncomfortable and far more honest. It's about the times when your loyalty to a person, an ideology, a tribe, or even to your own identity is the very thing that is slowly killing you. Machiavelli understood this better than most. He wrote, not from the clouds of morality, but from the blood-stained floors of reality. He saw that those who cling blindly to loyalty, who refuse to bend, shift, adapt, are often the first to be consumed by the very thing they were trying to preserve. Because loyalty, unexamined, becomes a shackle. It binds you to dying systems. It locks you into inherited pain. It seduces you into defending people who would never defend you. It trains you to betray yourself quietly, daily, incrementally, till one day you wake up and realize you don't even know who you are. So let me ask you something. Who are you being loyal to right now? The cost of your own becoming. Is it a relationship that once gave you identity, but now demands your silence? Is it a belief that once gave you direction, but now keeps you stagnant? Is it a group, a culture, a past version of yourself that no longer fits the weight of your soul? Here's the brutal truth. If you remain loyal to what no longer serves you, then betrayal is not something you fear. It's something you're already doing to yourself. The world may call it loyalty, but your body will call it stress. Your dreams will call it regret, and your conscience will call it betrayal. So what's the solution? It begins with clarity. You must learn the art of discerning where loyalty ends, where self-sabotage begins. You must be willing to cut ties not out of hatred, but out of higher allegiance. To truth, to courage, to purpose. And yes, sometimes that means walking away. Sometimes that means disappointing people. Sometimes that means being misunderstood, even condemned. But I'll tell you this. It's better to be falsely accused of betrayal by others than to actually betray yourself. Because there's a kind of betrayal that leads to death, and there's a kind that leads to transformation. This series is about the second kind. It's about the sacred betrayals, the necessary severings, the moments where you must choose between loyalty to the past and loyalty to what you're becoming. So if you've ever felt the pull between duty and destiny, between guilt and growth, between silence and truth, then you're exactly where you need to be. Let's begin. Comfort is a seductive god. It whispers to you in the language of safety. Don't rock the boat. Don't speak your mind. Don't leave what's familiar. But here's the truth. No one dares to say out loud your comfort zone is a coffin with cushions. It doesn't protect you, it preserves you from ever becoming who you could be. You betray your conscience the moment you choose ease over truth. You feel it in the pit of your stomach, the silence you keep when you should speak, the agreement you offer when you know it's wrong, the yes you say when every fiber of your being is screaming no. That is the betrayal of the self. And it is more violent than any knife. Because when you silence your conscience to remain comfortable, you commit the slowest, most polite form of suicide imaginable. And here is the part people don't want to hear. The ones who encourage you to keep the peace are often the very ones who benefit from your silence. They don't want peace. They want your obedience. They want the version of you that doesn't threaten them. And so you remain quiet, loyal to the group, the role, the image. The mask, meanwhile, Your soul is bleeding out under the floorboards of your life. But conscience is relentless. It will haunt you. It doesn't care about your comfort. It doesn't care about what your parents expect. Doesn't care about being nice. It wants what is true. And it will burn you from the inside out if you refuse to listen. So here's your call to arms. Betray comfort, not conscience. Because the cost of betraying comfort is temporary. The cost of betraying conscience is permanent. Every night before bed, ask yourself this brutally honest question. Where did I silence my conscience today? Just to avoid discomfort, write it down. Don't justify it. Don't explain it away. Just notice it. Because awareness is the beginning of transformation. And when you make this a habit, something begins to shift. The silence starts to scream. The numbness begins to thaw. And your conscience returns not as your enemy, but as your guide. You were not made for comfort. You were made for clarity. You were made to carry truth even when it costs you, even when it breaks you, even when it isolates you. Because your life, your real life, begins the moment you betray the prison of comfort and bow, instead, to the fire of what's right. There comes a moment, a crucifixion of the soul, when you are asked to choose loyalty to the group or loyalty to the truth. And don't be naive. This moment will come. To every honest man, to every sincere woman, to every soul brave enough to see clearly. You'll feel it when the group drifts. When the crowd starts worshiping a false idol, comfort, conformity, cowardice, and they'll smile at you, expecting you to bow to. And if you dare hesitate, they will turn on you. Why? Because nothing threatens the mob like the individual who thinks for himself. The group feeds on collective illusion. It survives by demanding your silence. And it punishes you the moment you become a mirror, because a mirror shows them their compromise, their cowardice, their decay. But here's what they don't teach you. Loyalty to the group at the cost of truth is not loyalty at all. It's servitude. When you choose the lie just to stay accepted, you become a shadow in your own life, a character in someone else's story. And slowly, you forget what you believe. You forget who you are. You don't belong to the group anymore. You belong to the fear of being rejected. That is not community. That is captivity. Machiavelli knew this, that loyalty must never be blind. It must be earned by truth, by action, by integrity. And if the group has lost its integrity, it is not disloyalty to walk away. It is dishonor to stay. Once a week, reflect on this. Where am I aligning with the crowd, but betraying what I know is right? Make a list. 1 bullet per betrayal. Then ask, if I were willing to be hated for it, what would I say? What would I do differently? Write that down too. That's your truth. That's your spine. That's your inner citadel. You don't owe the group your silence. You owe the truth your voice. This world is dying from a lack of men and women willing to stand alone. And you, yes, you might be called to be that lone figure on the hill. Saying no when everyone else says yes, holding the line when everyone else kneels. Do not fear exile. Fear the price of belonging to a lie. So when the hour comes, and it will come, remember, betray the group, not the truth. That's how empires fall. And that's how souls are saved. There's a particular kind of pain that people carry for years, and they don't even know it's killing them. It's the pain of playing a role every day while your true self is buried, unheard, unseen. You wake up, put on the mask. Smile when you don't mean it. Agree when your soul screams no. Say you're fine when you're falling apart inside. And society applauds you for it. They call you stable, adaptable, a team player. But what they really mean is, you're convenient. And slowly, silently, something inside begins to rot. Because here's the truth. When you betray yourself to serve the role, you become hollow. And eventually, that hollowness becomes rage. Rage at the job, rage at your partner, rage at the world. But most of all, rage at yourself. For not having the courage to say, I am not this. I am something more. See, the role isn't the problem. We all play roles: leader, parent, provider. That's part of life. But when the role becomes a prison, when the role demands that you amputate your authenticity just to keep it, that is the moment you must betray the role. Because the role is a servant of the self, not its master. Ask yourself, where in my life am I pretending just to preserve a role? Don't overthink it. Just write. Make it visceral. Then ask, what would I say or do if I were willing to lose that role but save myself? Write it. Speak it out loud. Even whisper it to your mirror. That's your truth protocol. Follow it tanned. Let the false roles burn. Most people die in costumes they never chose. They rot inside suits, uniforms, personas, while their true voice screams from behind the curtain. Don't be one of them. It is better to risk rejection and be whole than to be accepted as a fragment of yourself. So tear off the label. Drop the act. Let them call you difficult. Let them call you arrogant. Let them call you anything but dead inside. Because when you betray the role but protect the soul, you walk the path of the warrior. Not the actor, not the puppet, the warrior. And you, listening to this now, you know the role you've outgrown. So I ask you, will you serve your soul or the costume they gave you? You are not just living your life, you are living your past's momentum. Every habit you repeat, every thought you cling to, every belief you've never questioned it as all inherited from a version of you that no longer exists. And yet, most people remain loyal to that version. They protect it like it's sacred. They say, this is just who I am. But they forget to ask the one question that can shake the soul awake. Who would I be if I stopped obeying the old script? Let that hit you. Because here's the real tragedy of human potential. It isn't destroyed by our enemies. It's destroyed by our own loyalty to outdated versions of ourselves. We stay where we've always been. We act how we've always acted. We believe what we've always believed. Even if it poisons us. Even if it costs us love. Even if it chains us to a future that terrifies us in the dark. Why? Because we're terrified of betrayal. Even when it's the past that must be betrayed. But here's the paradox Machiavelli understood. True loyalty to the future requires betrayal of the past. And that betrayal isn't cruelty. It's courage. Because sometimes, you have to betray your former self in order to become your future self. Tonight, take a pen. Write a letter titled, A Funeral for Who I No Longer Am. Be brutal, be raw. List the patterns, fears, excuses, and old loyalties that keep you frozen. Then burn it. Yes, physically burn it. Because ritual burns the illusion into truth. This is your inner revolution. A death before resurrection. The ancient myth of the phoenix isn't about beauty, it's about necessity. The fire comes because stagnation is worse than death, because sometimes we must die to keep living. And I'll tell you this, the you that's trying to emerge, that whisper of clarity you feel late at night, that ache when you see someone fully alive, that's not fantasy. That's your future self knocking. But you can't walk with him while clinging to your past self's corpse. So betray the timeline that no longer serves you. Betray the image that kept you liked but not loved. Betray the habits that made you numb, not strong. And in that betrayal, we'll find your future. Because the future doesn't need your history. It needs your decision. So make it tonight. Let me ask you something you might not want to answer. When did you abandon your mission to please the crowd? You had fire once, a wildness. You knew what you believed before the noise, before the critics, before the algorithm trained you to doubt yourself. And now you're calculating. Careful, you say what's acceptable, not what's true. You smile to be liked, nod to avoid conflict, and post what gets applause instead of what ignites transformation. Let me be very clear. Every time you silence your truth for approval, you betray the very mission your soul was born to complete. And that kind of betrayal, it doesn't feel like a wound. It feels like emptiness. Because slowly, subtly, you lose the taste for your own voice. You become a hollow echo of public opinion, nodding along while your convictions rot beneath the surface. But here's the thing. If you do not betray the crowd will betray you. They will use you, cheer you, forget you. You will become a servant to moods and trends you were born to rise above. And the worst part? You'll know it. Somewhere deep inside, you'll hear the mission calling. But you'll be too entangled to answer. This is the price of false loyalty. Find one belief you've been afraid to say aloud, not because it's hateful or unkind, but because it's unpopular. Speak it out loud, alone in your room or in front of a mirror. This is not for rebellion, it's for reclamation, because your voice is the bridge to your mission. And silence is the loyalty that kills it. Let me remind you, the crowd does not build empires. The crowd does not write history. The crowd does not carve out truth from chaos. Individuals do. People who walk alone when they must, who take arrows for speaking out, who carry the mission when it's heavy, thankless, and misunderstood. If that's you, then betrayal is not sin, it's sacrifice. The sacrifice of comfort, of likes, of shallow belonging for something deeper, truer, eternal. So go ahead, betray the crowd that told you to sit down. Betray the comfort that asked you to be quiet. Betray the tribe that rewards silence and punishes truth. Because your mission is not a group project. It is a sacred war fought alone, and it begins when you choose to stand up and speak. So now you know, betrayal isn't always the enemy. Sometimes it's the door that separates the one who conforms from the one who transcends, the one who is used by history from the one who shapes it. You were not born to serve every master. You were not born to say yes to every request, to bow to every expectation, to dilute your fire just to be accepted. You were born to choose, to sort the false from the true, to determine which loyalties are sacred and which are a slow death. Because here's what they don't tell you. You can be loyal and still be a coward. You can be obedient and still betray your soul. You can be good by the world's definition and still wake up every morning with a pit in your stomach that whispers, "You gave it all away." This isn't a game of who approves. It's a test of who you are when everything is on the line. Will you protect your comfort or protect your mission? Because in the final analysis, loyalty to your calling will always require betrayal. Betrayal of the crowd, of the lie, of the version of yourself that was never truly you. So let me leave you with this challenge. Look at your life, your beliefs, your relationships, your goals, and ask yourself with ruthless honesty, who or what am I still loyal to? That is killing my potential. And then decide right here, right now, to betray it. Not because you are evil, but because you are finally ready to become who you are meant to be. And that kind of betrayal, that's not treason. That's liberation. Now go, become dangerous again, and protect the kingdom of your soul.